So I wasn't going to give you an update video on my Ford F-150 Lightning Lariat extended range. There's been a couple of things that have been going on with the truck that I wanted to give you an update on in terms of ownership experience and things that are in need of some TLC. But then I got a letter. And it's a recall, not a recall. Let's do this. Before I delve into today's update, I do just want to show you this. Some people had worried about the tyres on our Vectrex VX1. If you haven't seen the video about that yet, it's right here. Yes, we've got a new Vectrex VX1 maxi scooter from 2007 that we're going to be upgrading with lithium-ion batteries from a Nissan Leaf. And in the last video I made introducing you all to it, I noted that the tyres are made in 2007, which is well beyond any safe limits for riding or even driving. These are a brand new set of City Slick 2s that I purchased. They are going on the scooter before I ride it again. Don't worry. On with the truck. For those who don't know, this is my F-150 Lightning Lariat extended range. I call it Adira Tal after another Star Trek character. Yes, I like Star Trek. Call me a nerd. And it has been my primary vehicle now for about a year and a couple of months. So we purchased it in the summer of 2022. We have driven across country in it several times. We've towed, you know, the rest if you watch this channel regularly. And as with any vehicle, along with ownership, come a little niggle here and there or things that break, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So about 2 weeks ago, the power tailgate on this truck stopped working properly. You'd press the button to get the tailgate to drop down, and then it would do this. As you can see, it wasn't going all the way flat to the ground, and that wasn't good. And then if you tried to lift it back up again, it did this. That's also not appropriate behaviour for a nearly new truck with a power lift tailgate. So we took it to our local Ford dealership here just outside of Portland, Oregon, and they diagnosed a problem with the motor. We need a new motor. The motor is on order, but because of the UAW strike and everything else, it's not arrived yet, and that's fine. I can still use the truck with the tailgate in manual mode. There's a setting on the center touchscreen display that allows you to select between power liftgate and manual liftgate, and you can just use it as a manual liftgate. But at some point, hopefully we'll get a phone call and the part will arrive. The next thing that I probably should talk to you about is the Ford Home Integration System. That's the thing that allows you to use this to provide backup power to your house when there's a power cut caused by a storm or some other nasty thing happens. My system was installed earlier this year. They did install it last year, but then they had to reinstall it earlier this year. It was quite pricey to install, but it's not actually worked 100% reliably. It doesn't automatically switch over power. And the issue behind that, despite what I've said in previous videos, I thought it was a Wi-Fi issue. It turns out it's a Bluetooth issue. Potato, potato. But for whatever reason, the Bluetooth module in the truck and the Bluetooth module in the Charge Station Pro weren't communicating, and they were having some language problems, and therefore there was not a proper handshake happening between the truck and the charging station. That's in very layman's terms. I know a little bit more in depth what actually went on, but for the purposes of this video, that's fine. And I know I'm not alone. I've had lots of people reach out and say, hey, I have a Ford Home Integration System installed and it doesn't work. Have you had a solution? I even had an installer reach out to me the other day, and I forwarded that to the appropriate person at Ford going, hey, Sunrun no longer services our area. We have a customer who had this system installed with Sunrun. It doesn't work. We're trying to fix it. Help. Sunrun, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, it's the worst partnership Ford could have done for this product, because Sunrun has been particularly useless in helping solve this. It's still not working for me. The app that comes with the truck, the Ford app, is supposed to have a special area for the home integration system so you can actually see whether it's providing power to the house or not. That's never worked, and I've tried to work with Sunrun multiple times to try and get that working. They blame Ford. Ford said it's not our issue, it's somebody else's issue. It's a bit of a metaphorical car crash, but hope is on the way. I am in a group of early testers, fingers crossed, to test a software update, an over-the-air software update that will be rolled out in a couple of weeks. Fingers crossed, and I don't really truly trust that it will be here in a couple of weeks until it's installed. That software update should fix the issue between the truck communicating with the charging station. It should then allow me to work properly and get the power transfer working as it should. So with any luck, in a couple of weeks, and I do say luck and a couple of weeks because I've had this software update promised me a couple of times now and it's not materialised, I'll be able to tell you whether this solves the issue or not. And if it doesn't solve the issue, I and plenty of other F-150 Lightning owners and Ford Charge Station Pro and home integration setup owners are going to be rightly peeved. I nearly used another word, but I think peeved is the family appropriate word to use in that situation. To be honest, that is the biggest bugbear I've got about the truck right now and about the issues. I love this truck. I wouldn't swap it out for anything. And the other issues that I'm going to talk to you about today, they're just par for the course of ownership. The next one is a recall that exists for the rear light cluster on the tailgate. When they made that rear light bar for the F-150 Lightning, there is apparently a manufacturing defect that affects some of the early trucks, and this is an early example of the F-150 Lightning Lariat, and it means that I have a new rear light bar potentially on its way to me. So they're going to look at my rear light bar on the tailgate and they'll examine to see if there are any micro fractures in it, and if there are, then I will get it replaced under warranty. Because the rear light bar is also a tailgate thing, and they don't have a replacement light bar for me yet, I'm just going to wait until they have a light bar in stock and they have a motor in stock, and then I'll take my truck in and have both of those things taken care of. Obviously, they're both done under warranty, so I won't have to pay anything to get them fixed. The cool thing, though, is that my local Ford dealership, despite being a good 13, 14 miles away from where I live, now has a courtesy pickup and drop-off service. So I don't actually have to drive my truck to the dealership, which saves me basically an hour round trip to get there and come back in traffic. So when the parts are here, I'll get a phone call from Ford. They'll drive out, they'll pick up my truck, they'll take it away, they'll do the thing under warranty. I won't have to pay for it. And then hopefully later the same day or maybe the next day, I'll get the truck back with all the things fixed and happy. There are two more things, though, that I need to tell you about as part of the ownership experience that are technically not recalls. So the rear light bar, that's an official recall because it's something that under NHTSA regulations is classified as a recall because it affects the lighting of the truck. In that case, the rear lighting and the brake lights. Because it is a defect in manufacturing that affects the rear visibility of the truck, if water gets in those light bars, it can stop them from working, which means other people can't see you as clearly, or they can't see if you're trying to stop or turn. That is an official NHTSA recall. The next two things I'm going to tell you about, though, are not. They are not a recall. The first one is the center mat that sits just in front of that massive touchscreen that I have in my truck. Now, apparently there was something wrong with that little rubber plasticky mat and it needs to be replaced because they disintegrate in bright sunlight. I wouldn't know because, as anyone who's watched any of the videos on this channel will attest, and the license plate on my truck, I like fluffy animals. So I have a dashboard mat full of plushies. Don't judge me. So I have, fluffy animals on my dashboard, and I suspect they have saved my dashboard mat from falling apart. Anyway, apparently there is a new dashboard mat in line for my truck at some point in the future. Which brings me to the letter I got last week. It's a bit nerve-wracking. It says, Customer Satisfaction Program 23B57. It says that your vehicle has a Battery Energy Control Module, BECM, software strategy that detects if your high voltage battery experiences a voltage deviation. If that detection is triggered, your vehicle may enter into a reduced performance state. Now, basically this letter, which is, pretty long, explains that there is a potential issue with my truck's battery management system. If you look online and you look up the recall campaign, it's actually a little bit more in depth than that. As you might know, the F-150 Lightning Extended Range has a monster battery pack, like 130-ish, 131 kilowatt hours of battery storage. And like many other EVs on sale, both in the past and today, there are apparently some potential defects in the battery modules that this truck uses. Not so long ago, Ford issued a stop sale after one of the F-150 Lightnings on the production line caught fire while it was undergoing final quality control checks. And that was traced back to a potential issue with one of the battery modules in the truck. And Ford identified a very small proportion of the manufactured vehicles and announced a battery replacement recall program. It really was just a handful of trucks. Now, and I should point out here, I don't know if this past stop sale and this customer satisfaction not a recall program is connected or not, but it appears, based on what I can see from forums and what I've been able to read online, that there are potentially defects with certain battery modules in a certain range of produced F-150 Lightnings, and that can cause problems to the battery pack. Now, up to this point, if there has been a problem detected with the battery pack, the truck will display a, pull over safely and stop message. It's not exactly what it says, but it's words to that effect of please stop, don't drive me, take me to a dealership. And that can immobilize the truck, it can leave you stranded at the side of the road. As I understand it, this new not a recall will get your truck, it will install new software to the battery control modules that will then monitor the battery packs to make sure that there are no issues with individual modules within the battery pack. And if it detects a particular problem with the modules in the battery pack, it will put your truck, instead of in a do not drive me now, it will put it in a very much reduced power mode, which will allow you to safely make your way to a local dealership or to safely pull off the road. As I understand it, this can either be reprogrammed at your local dealership, so you can ring up a dealership and have the BECM reprogrammed by Ford, and it will be done under warranty. Or if you're not worried about it, you can just wait until an over-the-air software update, which is due sometime before the end of the year. Officially, they say Q4, which obviously we are now in. So it could be sooner, it could be later. But that recall will be done via an over-the-air software update or at the dealer. And obviously that's a good indication of some of the benefits of having an over-the-air software update, because it means even if you don't want to go to the dealership, you will ultimately get that update to keep your car and its battery pack safe. As I understand it, if the software detects an issue, a voltage variant in the battery pack, this new software is going to check the battery more frequently. It's going to be more rigorous in its checking. If it detects an issue, it will alert you, it will alert Ford, and you will get a battery module replacement under warranty. And what will happen is they'll drop the pack out. They will replace the faulty module. They'll put in a new module after charging it up to be the same state of charge as the rest of the pack. put the pack back together, run some more tests, and then if everything's okay, the battery pack goes back in the truck and you get your truck back. It's not ideal, but also I think this kind of issue is going to become more and more common as we see more and more electric vehicle battery packs on the road. At the same time, a couple of weeks ago, Ford announced it was going to stop delivering basically all of its 2023, I think, model year F-150 Lightnings. It basically put a bit of a stop sale on them because it wants to re-examine all of those vehicles that have not already been delivered to make sure that they are up to par and they've all had the correct quality control inspections done. I suspect that this recall notice might be part of that. Sorry, not a recall, the customer satisfaction program thing. They call it, what do they call it? Customer satisfaction program, the not a recall. Of course, it's a bit ludicrous that this is not technically a recall, but that's how the law works. That's how NHTSA views it. It's not something that is at the moment considered so bad that you shouldn't drive your vehicle. It's just something that could further down the road cause problems if it's not dealt with, which is why this is a customer satisfaction program rather than an official recall. All automakers do this. If they can get away with not calling it a recall, that's what they will do. Ford is not, doing some special trick here. Ford is not circumventing the rules. Every automaker does it. Tesla does it. Everybody else does it. So that is basically the multitude of things that are going on with Adira Tull and some of the issues that we have. Obviously, I will share with you once all of the software updates have been done, once the home integration system is working, once we get the tailgate fixed, once we get the rear light bar fixed. Other than that, this is still a great vehicle. Coming up here, we've been driving on gravel road for about 5 miles. Said, you know what, I think this is the quietest electric vehicle on gravel that I've ever been in. And you know what? I agree. Even with all of those little niggles, this is still a fantastic truck. I still enjoy it. I don't like driving it in town, as I said in the Vectrex video, which is why I've got these tyres and why I've now got the Vectrex. But, if I've got to carry a large amount of stuff, if the weather's nasty, you can't beat it. Before I go though, I do want to tell you about a t-shirt that we've designed, or rather Erin has designed, for this year's Halloween celebrations. And if you pick it, which I hope you do, you'll be supporting the channel as well. Nikki from the future here, and look, you know it's from the future because my hair colour's changed, it's got shorter, and I've got the Nevermore t-shirt, which you should totally go and buy if you haven't yet. If you buy it now, there's still plenty of time to get it ready for Halloween. Scare Big Oil, why not? So I'm adding this little addendum to the video because since we recorded it last week, I got a phone call from my local Ford dealership. My truck is going in tomorrow to get all of the things fixed. The parts are in to fix the light bar, the parts are in to fix the tailgate, they're going to do the mat recall, and they're going to do that software update. Sadly, we're still waiting for the over-the-air software update for the home integration system, but I'm going to wait until that gets pushed, and then we'll make another update telling you about how the fixes went. So yeah, goodbye from the future. And on that note, we are done with today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are a Ford F-150 Lightning owner, let me know in the comments below if you have had one of these not a recall letters. I'd love to know. And have you had issues with your tailgate, or maybe you've not been involved in the light or the motor issue? Obviously, if you have a lower trim variant, you don't have the light bar. And if you don't have the power tailgate, obviously you won't have that issue either. And of course, the more complicated, the more bells and whistles you have in a vehicle, the more that can go wrong. That's just basic logic. If you want more from this channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell and follow the links below to regularly support us with a YouTube membership or a Patreon subscription. You'll also find links below to our Ko-fi, Bitcoin and Swag store, as well as our Mastodon server. Scrolling on my right is the list of amazing charged up supporters, and if you are not on the list, I'm sorry, I've explained this multiple times in recent videos. We're having some issues with it. We are redesigning our list, so please bear with us. It's taking longer than we thought. And the next couple of months are shaping up to be super, super busy. We have a top secret filming trip that we're going to be making in a week's time that we were due to make at the end of August, and then it got delayed. And yeah, it's been quite the week. Anyway, if you have joined Patreon recently to support the channel, thank you. As you may know, the YouTube ad revenue has not been forthcoming for the last couple of months. It is down to basically less than a quarter of what it was in the last couple of years for the month of September, and that has left us about $2,500 short. Thanks to you kind people supporting us in Patreon, it's a lot less than it could have been. It might have been $3,000 or $4,000, but it's a lot better now. And if you'd like to join that group of amazing people, ensuring that we can continue to make content, go to Patreon and support us from as little as $1 a month, or about $10 and change a year. It's actually a little bit cheaper if you pay in one go, and you pay every year like less than $12 to support the channel for a year, and you get 6 videos a week, 7 videos a week. Great value for money. In the meantime, thanks to that amazing list that's scrolling by on my right. Thank you to you if you've just joined the list and our name's not there. And shout outs go out to our V2G Patreon supporters: Alan Tupper, Andrew Martin, Bennett Elder, Brophy Wolf, Chris Maxwell, Cyprian Laplace, Dan Blair, Gordon C, Hay Esker, John Tramal, Carl Fox, Mark Eggleton, Peter Dillinger, Regine Fellows, Sean Tucker, Stefan Fremgen, Stephen Williams, Tesla in the Gong, Paul Bricknell, Tony Moss, Carl Hodgson, Chris Centaur, Denny Hyde, Lance Schall, Linda Irish, Mike Weeder and Paul Nelson. And finally, big thanks to our off-grid supporters: Paul Conway, Kevin Burrowbridge, Stephen O'Donoghue, Jim Burness, Robert Flannery, Aaron Hunn, Ellery Hensley, Rory Litzman, JP Fagerback, Dave Kitchen, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, Chris and Michael Johnson, Claywitt, CPU Freak 101, Eric Neck, Joe Bresney, John Henderson, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobnak, Nigel S, Reggie Watts, Will Graylin, and of course, Ian. Don't forget that we produce content every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday on this main channel. And on a Sunday, you can see us over on Transport Evolved Take 2 for our chicken and garden updates and our Sunday musing. And with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. I am at well over 1,200 feet right now, and it was really cold when I left the house. And I'm only at 850 feet. I put my winter jacket on. I am now sweltering in the heat. So I'm going to go cool down. But until next time, keep evolving.